Welcome to another episode of Prevailing Through Pain, where extraordinary women tell their stories. And today we're fortunate enough to have the extraordinary Melanie Farley back for a second time. Melanie, thanks for being here again.
Thank you for having me.
So we talked so much during the last episode, but there was so many parts of your life that were left out. And I just kind of wanted to go back and talk about some of the things that we kind of hit and missed, and then, talk a little more about today, your journey, with what's going on with you up to date.
Okay.
One of the things that I recall is when we were talking about you going to college, and unfortunately, a year after you could have started college, you found out that there was a letter that you weren't privy to.
hmm
And so, can we talk a little bit about your journey as a ball player and an
Okay.
exciting part of what that led to in your later on in your career?
So as I remember it, it was letters, not a
Oh,
letter.
excuse me,
Yes.
letters.
So um, our basketball coach was the driver's ed teacher, and probably just thrown into that position, as I said before. And we found out after me and my teammates had decided to go to Langston University, HBCU, um, that schools were contacting us, writing Booker T, Washington, where we went to high school. They were writing saying, "Hey, we're interested in these girls." We didn't see any of that. And as I understand it, those letters were tossed in the trash. 1978, Booker T. Washington High School. So if there's anybody in a D1 school or NAIA school who was inquiring about us at that time, they could probably verify that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so with basketball, I recall being at some of your games. You weren't shabby at all. So let's talk about your basketball career.
So not shabby. And on the last episode, I mentioned that in high school we played 3-on-3. No longer do that. And my specialty was defense. And so that's pretty much what I was known for high school and college. Um, it did pretty good. I mean, eventually my offense came around, but I was the leader, excuse me, pretty much the leader on the team and everything that happened and everything that we did. So graduated college on a full basketball scholarship. Uh, Staying with the basketball in 1990, and I believe you were there. I was inducted into the Oklahoma City University Hall of Fame for basketball. You were there, your mom was there, there was a lot of us there.
Yeah.
Um, and it happened shortly after my mother died.
Hmm.
So it was bittersweet, but it was a great time, and still in there right now. Yeah.
So and you had a son that followed in your footsteps of playing ball.
hmm
And so when we spoke about your experience after you got out of the HBCU college,
hmm
and you were put in a college where there weren't many faces, if any, that
hmm
looked like you, and your prayer was that you didn't have a white roommate because you didn't he hadn't necessarily gone to school with people
hmm
that didn't look like you. And so back during those years, it was
hmm
something that was kind of
Right.
fearful to you. But fast forward today, your son went to college playing basketball, and his significant other was a basketball player that he met in college as well,
hmm
who happens to be Caucasian.
Absolutely.
And so I remember that was a trying time from her family being from a small town in Oklahoma, right?
hmm hmm
So can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges you remember when they first started dating?
So it was 96, I believe, is when he graduated from high school. He went to Seminole Junior College. And um, as I said the last time, things were really different. 96 doesn't seem like that long ago,
Mm-hmm.
but it,
It's well,
yeah,
yeah.
the division as it relates to races and cultures and stuff like that. So um, now Darrell, my son, his experience with Caucasians and everybody else wasn't unique
Hmm.
because he went to a school that was predominantly white, and he was an athlete, very well known, great personality. So he interacted with everybody.
Right.
But it was challenging back in our initial days when Darrell and Lisa got together because, again, the small town that her parents were from. I mean, they weren't feeling that. They didn't understand it. Uh, but to fast forward when there's a brown child that gets into that mix when she got pregnant with my first grandson Jalen, the whole dynamic changed. So uh, brown can ground you quickly. Race, color, not even thought about right now.
Hmm. And you know, I say that because I think about my girlfriend Barbara,
Hmm.
and this was probably in the 80s. Yeah, in the 80s. But Barbara being Caucasian, and
Hmm.
Barbara and I were very, very close, met at 18 and
Hmm.
19. And I remember I moved back to Oklahoma. We met in California. I moved back to Oklahoma. She moved back to Illinois. And our pact was that every year we were going to try to get together. And so she came to visit me, and my family was Barbara, warm, loving, and
Right.
just was happy to meet my good friend. I went to visit her. She picks me up from the airport. She was so excited about me coming. It took us 6 months to save our little money to make a trip to go
Right.
see each other. And she was so excited about me coming. When she picks me up from the airport, she's crying. And she said, my mom said that you can't stay in the house with us because she tells, she's been talking about her friend Karen, but now mom realized her friend Karen is
Hmm.
black and you can't stay in the house with us.
Hmm.
But her mom happened to manage a motel. So the house was in the front and the motel was, in the back of the property. But her mom said I could stay in one of the motel rooms. I remember the next morning, because she was saying, I'll stay in the room with you. I was like, no, you can go back in the house. I'm
Yeah.
okay. So next morning I went and knocked on the door, and her mom answers the door. I looked at her and I said, you have to be Barbara's mother because all I can see is Barbara's face. And I told her, I said, and I love you already just because you gave birth to my good friend, and
Hmm.
and you have to be good people because she looks just like you. And from that moment on, because her mother had never experienced, African American people.
Hmm.
They lived in the same city, but they weren't in her circle,
Right.
and so it was taboo.
Yeah.
After that,
Hmm.
if anyone was to say that I wasn't Sylvia, which was Barbara's mom's daughter, oh,
Hmm.
it was a fight. Karen's my daughter, and I say that to say, that still goes on today. We say it was so long ago, but that
Yeah.
still goes on today because people fear what they don't understand.
Understand. Right.
And like you said, they were in a small town in Oklahoma. And so everybody, pretty much their circle looked the same. So
Hmm.
now somebody's trying to come in their circle that looks different,
Right.
and especially African American male, because, you
Well,
know,
and they didn't want that for their daughter.
they didn't want that for their daughter.
I mean,
And
yeah.
what that was, they didn't even know. I'm
No,
just saying it was because it looked different.
it looked different, and I can recall. Again, we're back in 96, 97 when um, Darrell and Lisa were basketball friends because she played basketball and he did. It was fine as long as they were just friends.
Hmm.
But then when they started dating, and they were probably dating the whole time knowing them, but it's my understanding uh, that her parents felt differently about the situation. It
Hmm.
kind of it kind of changed then.
Yeah. And like I said, even today in this town,
Hmm.
so we have campaign for mayor.
Hmm.
This city has never had a mayor of color,
Right.
and if you want to see division, unfortunately, a lot of times in America today, you let it be different races
Hmm.
where someone is running and all of a sudden you see this division.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw that even with Obama
Mm-hmm.
running for president. And I hope we get to a point in time in our life that people, people see people
Right.
before they see color. People see what a person stands for,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's good or bad, versus black and white. As my
Right.
grandma used to say, Karen, I don't want you to see color. I want you to see wrong and right. I want you to see people first. And it's as
Yeah.
humans, I know that we try to do the best we can, and sometimes that just stands in the way.
But we're just as guilty. I mean, I felt the same way her parents felt. I mean, old saying
Hmm.
back in the day is, if she can't use my comb, don't bring her home. Sounds stupid, but I mean, it
Hmm.
wasn't just on them,
Hmm.
right?
Well, no, I'm saying people. I said today,
Yeah,
if
both.
it's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's yeah, but it's as we get older, as we grow, and like my grandkids are mixed,
Hmm.
and they they won't have to deal with the same issues that their dad. I mean, like I said, Darrell dealt with everybody when he was in high school. And I remember one time we were living in Midwest City and he came home and he and a couple of his friends were at this Chinese restaurant right there in Midwest City. And Darrell is 6'6", black, loud, and all that other stuff. And he and this one petite white girl were together. And he said he went to the bathroom, and before he can get out, this older white man came in there with his cane and tried to jack him up. Like, I hate, I'm seeing you with her, and what are you doing? And fortunately, Darrell said the only reason he didn't hit the man because he was older and respectful of that. But the guy had a problem with Darrell because he was black and he's with a white girl.
Yeah.
And these are teenagers, by the way, trying to eat food at King Wa, whatever the name of the
Hmm.
place was we used to go. Yeah.
So I'm gonna segue into Juneteenth because that's
Okay.
one of your favorite quotes.
Yes.
Yeah, Juneteenth, Juneteenth,
Yes.
and you usually talk about me saying I'm Juneteenth. I'm
Yes.
always behind on catching up on something. So,
Yeah.
can you remember your first memory of Juneteenth, or when you realized what Juneteenth was actually about?
No. No. I cannot. I just so the expression I use it for because I'm always late. Yeah, like you say, I use it all the time. I'm Juneteenth. I'm late on everything. But and I think about when we were teenagers and in our 20s. I don't really think we celebrated Juneteenth back then.
Mm-mm.
I don't know, and it's come about since we've been like really adults. I'd say over 40 maybe. Yeah,
That
I'm not.
that would
Yeah,
be my
yeah,
first memory.
but it's just a phrase. I know that I know what it means, and I just use it
And
all the time.
for those of you, and by now everyone should know what Juneteenth is, but for years I didn't know that as it relates to Texas,
Right.
that Texas was the last
Hmm.
state to know that
Hmm.
slaves were free.
Right.
And so, like, again, for those of you that may not know where that came from, that's where
Exactly.
Juneteenth came from.
And we were in Oklahoma, so we
Right.
would not have known that.
We didn't
Yeah.
know.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk a little more about your life. Today I'll back up 14 months ago.
Mm.
I was on the treadmill,
Hmm.
elliptical. I was
Yeah.
working out, and I received a phone call from you. And what the news that you shared with me,
Hmm.
um, I didn't know how to respond because, as I said, that I can't even hear you right now because I
Hmm.
don't understand what you're telling me. I heard everything you were telling me, but
Hmm.
I didn't want to hear it.
Hmm.
So can you share what you told me that day?
Hmm. I can, and I also tell you, we're not getting emotional. I don't need you crying on the phone right now. I tell you to get it together, so I could tell you what I needed to tell you. But it was February, 2023. I had, well, actually, it started. It was about a 30-day process. Went in for an annual exam, uh, my annual well one exam, and then my gynecologist, routinely kind of touching, examining your breast. And she said, you have your mammogram scheduled? I'm like, yep, got it tomorrow because I've done that routinely for probably 10 years. Well woman mammogram. And she said, I'm not sure if I felt anything. It was one of those things. Not sure if I felt anything. And she said, cancel that appointment because you get basic mammograms when you go. That's what the insurance companies pay for. And she said, I think I want you to get more of a diagnostic, blah, blah, blah. But she said, girl, it probably ain't nothing. So we just go back to talking about her grandkids and Kiki and the Kakan. So then the process started. So one appointment led to another appointment. And I was literally in the airport. It was February 23rd. I was flying to Tulsa because I was going to Irvin McAllister's funeral, Kay and Shy's brother. He had passed, and so I was flying out on the 23rd, and I was going to come back on the 24th because I was going to be in Kansas for Jalen's basketball game. Doing all that. So I remember walking through the airport, and lady, I get this call, and are you somewhere you can talk? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I've been waiting to hear my results, but I never thought that it would be positive, because, I didn't know anybody in the family that had breast cancer, dying of heart ailments, absolutely. Before 50, absolutely. So anyway, so she proceeds to tell me it's positive, and I'm like, what? And it just went from there. I just remember, and I'm not a outwardly emotional person. I was just in that airport state of confusion. I'm crying, and for some reason, first thing I needed to take care of was getting this refund because I wasn't getting ready to get on this plane that was taking off in 45 minutes. So I ended up going to customer service, but it started from there, and it was stage one. And then I cried. It was on a Thursday. I cried, called a small circle of people, and said, this is what's going on. Don't be bothering me. Don't be asking me no questions. I don't know what I don't know. And then the next day I went into business mode. I'm calling oncologists, breast surgeons. I'm trying to, what do we need to do? And then process started, had surgery, lumpectomy, did 12 rounds of chemo, which was not easy at all. I will say that I saved the majority of my hair because they have a technology called cold capping, something that they do. And basically it's just, you use dried ice with this hat, and it's like an 8-hour process. But if you put it on here, it saves your hair. Yeah. So, I mean, I lost probably 25% of my hair, mostly around my edges. Wow. But I was gifted with this beautiful white hair now. But I did.
That you fought tooth and nail, not wanting
would
to go.
never gray.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, as long as I had grandkids, I'm gonna have to keep coloring. Was what I thought I would have to do, but I can't do that anymore. But so then the chemo, it was hard. I had probably 2 or 3 episodes of where it's like I was like sick. Had my liver was affected at one time, and so what happens is, if you're not well enough to get the chemo, then they have to push you back a week or so. So yeah, so I did the 12 rounds, took about a 2 or 3 week break maybe. Then I started radiation, and then at radiation, yeah. So all this over here, as a matter of fact, was this ended up being this color because it just burned you, and it was awful. How many rounds? So chemo was 20. I'm sorry, radiation was 22. So it was like 5 or 6 weeks I did it, but you go every day, Monday through Friday.
Oh, that has to be exhausting.
Oh, and it is exhausting. So I did that, and so then started going every 3 weeks, getting an infusion. It's a non-chemo infusion. Still got the port and everything. But the good news is, I had treatment yesterday, but I have one more treatment. And then, so all of this regularly scheduled stuff, because, you're having to get echocardiograms, You're having to get bone fusions because basically your body breaks down. They put that stuff in there, and you don't know until you know. And then a lot of it, what's really frustrating for me, not frustrating, but what's been challenging for me, it is almost like it's like let's try it and see if it works. So because I'm gonna have to be on something called a 5-year pill because estrogen is not my friend, and so I'm on my
Mm.
third type of medication now that I'm gonna need to take for 5 years. The first two almost debilitated me. Just the like my knees, my legs couldn't walk, literally couldn't walk for a couple of days with all of that. But I'm on this one now, and I seem to be doing okay on it. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a very short story long.
No, I thank you for sharing that. Let's pause and take a break to support our sponsors.
Those in the know SIPS Consults. SIPS Consults is hiring. Confident, competent, and consistent. Starting as a consultant and a volunteer, SIPS has grown into a dynamic group of stellar sterile processing professionals, offering excellent benefits, 401k, and consultant in training program. We are hiring certified technicians, leads, supervisors, interim managers, educators, coordinators. Apply at recruiting@sipsconsults.com or dial 1-866-615-7977.
All right, and we're back. So, Mel, I'm at different points doing all this. I mean, this is because this is shocking news, and I can even say as far as as close as we are, not knowing how to, how to help you, not knowing what to
Hmm.
say, not knowing, just wanting to be there. And I remember even me getting some phone calls where
Uh-huh.
one of our dear friends, she was wanting to come up, and Melanie saying she doesn't want to, doesn't want to be bothered. And I know sometimes I'm sure people take those things personal because we put ourselves in something and not, we put our feelings in something and
Right.
not, considering
Hmm.
what that person's. But your friends are like you. We kind of pushy, and so
Yeah.
I do know that you did um, allow. I don't know that if that's the right word,
Hmm.
but I do know that there was a group that that did come,
They were good.
and
Yes.
and yeah, and per your daughter,
Hmm.
she said, "Mama's really enjoying this."
Oh yeah, that's true.
So let's talk about it. Some of your highs and your lows.
So I will say when people talk about small circles, my small circle is big, right? You know that. But what I come to appreciate, it didn't go outside the big circle because I now people even in our family have contacted me. It's like, oh my God, I didn't know you had cancer, and I was like, okay, good. That means the people that I told kept it. I really appreciate that. But the highs and lows. So when you start this journey, for me, it was like you're standing at the beginning of the road, and you know that you don't know what you don't know for one, and you go, you take a step. Maybe I made it. Okay, feel like okay. Step one is out the way, and then just out of nowhere, uh, you have uncontrollable bowels, BOWELS. Yeah, it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's yeah. You something like that happen, um, or you literally can't even raise your head. Your exhaustion is probably one of fatigue and exhaustion is common, but with uh, cancer, can't believe I'm really saying the word, but with it, no two people are the same. So you have people that may have had it or know somebody that had it, and they expect that your path is the same.
Hmm.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And you almost have to be healthy enough to get the treatment. That was real tough. But highs and lows, it's like, I mean, I'd say for the last 14 months, laying in my she shed on my sofa 5 out of 7 days a week. I am thankful for social media and texting, because you can text me and, hey girl, what's going on? How you doing? I'm good. I don't think I really said I'm good that much. I'm doing okay. I've learned to say I'm doing okay, and I could be sitting there in agony. So that was, but I didn't want anybody over there with me. I just, because it's really not anything you can do. Um, Soliciting prayers, I definitely felt that in the moments that I needed it. But it's real. And we talked about depression last time I was here. But it's you really go to a dark place because you don't know. There's no guarantee that you're going to make it out of it. You go to my little cancer treatment center. You walk in, no privacy, get a chair, and they come over and put these bags. There's a smell in there, and it's like death is in the air. Not everybody's going to make it. I mean, that's the reality of it. And then when I give you, like, I think I was at probably about 6 hours. You had to put a bag of this, do this, the stuff they put in to try to protect your body before the chemo goes in. Uh, how are you going to respond to that? Let's put that in there. All of it's through the IV in the port. Let's see how she works. Okay, she probably needs some anxiety, because I'm like, yeah, give me all the give me all the anxiety medication that you can give me. And then you walk out of there, and I mean, when you walk out of your treatment, you're like, okay, Lord. My deal was, okay, Lord, whatever it is that I'm gonna have to be dealing with, just give me what I need to deal with it. Whether I'm getting ready to leave this earth, because I've been here a lot longer than I thought I would, because I thought 50 was
50
it,
was
right?
out, yeah.
Yeah, so he's
50
giving me
was
a
our
whole
mark.
lot. Yeah. But it's like, okay, I just didn't want to suffer. And I don't know if that was a selfish ask or not, but I was like, Lord, just please don't. I don't want to have to suffer behind this stuff. And it's, I mean, your body changes, and you know, uh, I know that I look a lot different than I feel, and I
Uh,
know I look a lot different than what I
well,
went through.
you look great.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, but it's. I mean, and I don't even know if depression is the right word to give it. It's something deeper than being depressed. When you knock, I don't want to say knocking on death's door, because you want to take the positives. I don't want to say only had, but I had stage 1 cancer. It's treatable. People are not dying like they used to. They have the technology. So you try to hold on to that. But then those moments are like, yeah, I mean, but people die from that with stage 1, just like people with stage 4 survive it. Yeah. But but yeah, you're just not sure. And I'll say, I think I said it earlier, in 3 weeks, I'll have my last regularly scheduled treatment, which is great.
That's great.
And then I'll continue to go in. So now I'm in remission or whatever it's going to be. But it's that what if is always there. So I'm actually going to, I'm investigating a couple of support groups right now that I
Oh,
can get
good.
involved in. So I don't have to just, like,
Be
if you
alone.
call, you'd be like, is that it? Yeah. So,
Yeah. Because, I mean, as much as I feel family and friends want to be supportive in a
mhm,
situation that, because they love a person, but if you've never been in that
right.
situation, it's hard to understand. So I feel that you definitely, that I think it's smart to get in the
Mm,
support group. You said you mentioned one of your grandson's name earlier. It's Jalen,
mhm,
and again, following in that basketball
mhm.
footstep. So you have a grandson. You have three, uh, four,
I have four.
four grandsons and
Well, actually five.
five grandsons.
Sean's son, Henry in Atlanta.
Okay,
Yeah.
so five grandsons
hmm
and
One
one
granddaughter.
granddaughter.
Yes.
So your grandson Jalen,
hmm
who and I mentioned Jalen because we were talking about his mom and his
Yeah.
dad, the journey with them. So is he the oldest?
He's the oldest.
He's the oldest
Uh-huh.
grandson. So it must be exciting to have
hmm
a grandson that is a help me, because I'm just starting to get into sports. So
He's a professional basketball player. Yes, he's plays for the Brooklyn Nets. He was drafted in June 24th or whatever day was when they had the 2023. But his road has not been easy either. Um, he was All American, should have been a first, I shouldn't say should have, would have liked him to have been a first round pick, but he went like 51. He had all the accolades, but it just shows you what you think is going to happen is not.
Hmm.
And I remember sitting with him draft night and they calling all these players that he was clearly better than. And I just took his hand because he loves Christ. He talks openly about his faith. And I said, well, the Lord is testing you right now. You talking all that mess about you love him and you going to trust him.
Hmm.
You being tested right now. You being tested right now. So, but he's in Brooklyn, took an unconventional path, went to what they call the G League, let's say a minor league, but he signed a full contract, multi-year contract, and he is officially in the NBA, doing a great job.
That's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
Brother behind him is in college playing football.
He's at UT San Antonio football on a football scholarship. Jace, he's 20. Yeah, they're only a couple of years apart, 3 years apart. Yeah, so he's 20 now. Yeah, they're all athletic, all highly skilled individuals.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say we have a talented family.
yes, we do.
Period. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm always excited to see when I hear about what one of the younger generations doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the boldness and the lack of fear
Right.
that
Mm-hmm.
they have as far as pursuing whatever their dreams are.
They're not afraid.
Not
They're not
afraid at
afraid
all.
to fail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's I think that's the most important thing that um, people need to understand. It's okay if we do fail
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like it just makes us stronger. And that's definitely my story throughout life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this definitely made me stronger.
You know, you were talking about race, and I was thinking about like Jalen, like my grandkids. If you ask them what color they are, they're gonna say black.
Mm,
Yeah, they don't say, "Oh, I mean, they know they're mixed. They love their mother, culture, their dad, but they know that society looks at them and see them as being black men immediately,
mm,
and they've taken that on. Yeah, not denying anything else, but they know. Yeah, if you look at
yeah,
him, you're like, oh yeah, he's either light skinned or black.
yeah.
I mean, light skinned or mixed. Yeah.
And you know, and like I said, I hope one day we get to the point that it's a person,
Hmm.
but I mean it's true. And then because I've met people that are very dark, and but I've learned too it's also
Yeah.
one's identity issue. If you
True.
have to say, you know, if you're very dark, you have to say I have mixed it, I'm mixed with something. But
We're all
I'm not
mixed.
gonna
Yeah. Yeah.
even go there.
We all have something in us.
We all have
We
something.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
some
not a big
other.
deal, but it's becoming less of a deal now. It's not a
Hmm.
big deal like it was for us. Uh, my grandkids, kids, and grandkids won't even have these conversations.
They won't
Mm-mm. No,
because
no,
it'll just
and they're
be.
going to be surprised to hear that it was an issue for their
No, I'm sure some
families.
of the stories that they even hear us say,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, okay, really,
Mm-hmm.
that happened.
Mm-hmm.
It happened because it's not their experiences,
No.
and I think it's very important though that they do understand their history.
Right.
You know, I know that's still a thing with some schools as far as way back, but if you don't understand where
Mm-hmm.
people started, you can't appreciate.
Right.
Yeah, we're out of date. So speaking of appreciation, appreciate you being here. What are there some parting words you'd like to leave with our viewers?
Uh, I appreciate you bringing me back for part two. The only thing I'll say, I think I said it last time, is you have to be true to yourself. Uh, you really have to be honest, and especially with this journey I've been on for the last 14 months, um, I think it's okay to be a little selfish and take care of yourself. You and I mean, we've been close. We're only 11 months apart, but we've been close, and our paths have been similar, where we've always put in We've always put everybody else before us. We denied ourselves for so long,
Mm-hmm.
for so long, and now, I mean, I was forced to think about me. I was forced to
Yeah, how selfish is that?
how exactly.
Shame on you, think about you.
Yeah, but I'm forced to know I can't do everything. And then then and one other thing that I think we've realized probably in the last 10 years that money's not going to solve all the issues. So we, try to help people in other ways, but just, I don't know, love your family, love yourself. From a health perspective, women that are listening
Mm-hmm.
to this, if you're not getting your mammograms, because what has happened is during the pandemic, a lot of women did not, didn't want to go in, or the services were down, and so now more women are being diagnosed with it because of that lapse in time. And but go and trust your instincts, and
Mm-hmm.
trust your gut on that. And then you have to be an advocate for yourself, asking questions, because I know my oncologist, she'll say, well, we're going to do this, well, here, let me just tell you why, because I know you're going to ask me all these other questions. I'm like, yeah. But I mean, in a good way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I think they appreciate that. Yeah, but life is good. um you know Life can take you places where you never thought you would go. Uh, but you have to be ready. You have to be ready for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of places that you never thought you'd go, um, condolences. I know you just lost one of your nephews, my cousin, um, great young man. And, I just want to
Yeah.
give my love and condolences. And I want to say Terrell's name. I want to,
Terrell Johnson.
Terrell
Yeah.
Johnson. Yeah. So,
29.
yeah. And like you said, places that you,
Yeah.
yeah, Terrell just so full of life, spirit, and so yeah, nobody saw this door closing this early in chapter
No.
Terrell's life, and so I just say for anybody that knows Terrell that's listening to that have been watching this podcast,
Yeah.
just always remember that jolly smile and laugh and that silliness, but that good hearted young man.
You know what it's like? He knew he only had 29 years, and he was getting it all in,
Getting
baby.
it all in.
He's like, well, look, I know I probably won't be here when I'm 40, I'm 50. So he was doing it all. And, just a few days before he passed, he had been in Brooklyn with my grandson that plays for the Nets.
Hmm.
He was up there for a whole week, well, not a week. He was up there 5 days, living the best life. They had a couple of games, they shopping, just making plans, because Terrell is like a big brother to Jalen, and he's one of Jalen's biggest hype men. And so the thought now that Jalen has gotten settled, Terrell is gonna, be his guy. Probably move up there with him, travel. They always got an entourage, right? And so that was those plans were in the works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know Jalen will continue to do well, and we know the family will
Yes.
uh, continue to move forward
Mm-hmm.
and know that God's in control. So I say where you said Terrell living like it was his last day.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I think all of us should live our life like it
Yes.
may be our last day, and don't wait on whatever that is. Don't wait till you're 30 to do this if it's something you can do now. Don't wait till you're 40. Just live your life to the
Yes.
to the fullest. So Melanie, thank you for being on another episode of Prevailing Through Pain, and thank you for being the amazing leader, mom, aunt, cousin, sister, friend that you are.
Thank you.
Till next time.